Are you longing for having that slow Christian life that is so rewarding and satisfying and giving you that intimacy with God that only a peaceful life could bring? Well, today I'm going to go through 5 keys to getting there, and make sure you stay until the end because number 5 is the one that most miss out on, and that's where all the value is stored up. So make sure you don't miss out on that one. So the first one is to make sure you eliminate the contact that you have with the outer world of noise and chaos. I'm talking about shopping centers, football matches, busy streets and traffic, and tons of people gathered at one place. It's also the noisiness that comes with it and the activity, everything that goes on. Nothing wrong with it. But if you want to have intimacy with God, this is actually filling up that space that should be, or you want to be, available for Him. So reducing that exposure, eliminating the unnecessary visits to such places, could be parties, could be anything in that category, that is going to bring you into a more close and intimate place where you are available to have a deep communion with the Creator. As some of you know, about 14 years ago, I lost most of my physical sight. So I cannot see that much any longer. There's a lot of things I cannot do. And as a consequence of that, I was forced to be more isolated, cut off from the world. I cannot drive a car, I cannot read a document, etc. So for that reason, I did get my exposure to social stuff and shopping centers and all that kind of stuff got naturally reduced significantly. And in many ways that was hard. It can be really hard, but it has also opened up the doors to a life with God and a closeness to Him and a slow living, peaceful state that is so different and so valuable. But it takes a sacrifice, right? You cannot keep all the juicy candy sort of attraction sort of things in your life and at the same time get that inner connection and the deeper value that you may be longing for. Next step is to focus on your external environment in your home, and wherever you go. That goes for your smartphone, your TV, your radio, every kind of external impression and stimuli that you are exposing yourself to. And this is the environment that is external, but it is under your control, right? When you go out on a football match, etc., it's under your control to go there, but you cannot control the level of the volume, the lights, and what goes on there. But in your home and in your environment, you do control it. And the TV and the magazines and the smartphones, etc., social media, it is kind of addictive. And it is filling you up with stuff from the outside that is not necessarily helping you, keeping you focused on what matters, helping you build, grow, and stay in a positive mode, etc. But it's taking up space and time. And so if you want that rewarding life, you need to feed yourself on this level with what is creating that, and that is not all of the stuff that is filling you up from the world. So eliminate what is not necessary and what is not building up, teaching you new skills, helping you develop discipline, whatever it is. It needs to be something that is food for the soul and that is sharpening you and making you stronger. Now, cutting out TV and radio and that kind of stuff was not difficult in my experience because I'd already done that. That came natural. And it was even so extreme that my youngest daughter, when she turned 18, she came home from school and she said, "Mom, what is Dagsrevyen?" And Dagsrevyen, that is a word, it's a Norwegian word for the specific name for the news that everyone is watching. So it is a word that pretty much everyone in the entire country knows, it would be like your daughter coming back home asking, "What is McDonald's?" It's at that level. But my daughter asked about that because her teacher had been talking about it and she didn't know what it was. And at that moment, I didn't know if I should be embarrassed or proud, because it was a result of me not having a TV, not listening to the radio, I didn't have the newspapers, etc. I was pretty much cut off from all of these things. And it turned out that, my daughter's father didn't expose them to them either, and, grandparents, etc. So for 18 years, she'd gone by and never heard about the news and the special words that we have for the news. So that is just an example of how it was in my life. My point is that when you are shielding yourself from some of these external stimuli, you preserve the space and the sphere that you are in that is then protected for you to have a closer connection to God. Now, I am not saying you should not follow the news, etc., and be totally cut off. That wouldn't necessarily be good advice at all. But in my case, that was simply what it was. And number 3 is your internal environment, and this is your thoughts and emotions. And that is invisible, but it's going on all the time. And the goal is, as with the others, to still it and make it peaceful, so that, just as an ocean or lake, if that is peaceful, you are able to see the heavens, the reflections of the heavens on the surface of the water, and the same way we want our inner environment to be, so that we may reflect or be like a reflecting space where we can pick up and hear the voice of God, the subtle signs on the inside of us, and whatever is of value around us, instead of what is noisy and competing for your attention. So often we have conflicts and conversations going on inside of us, in our head, inside our body. Maybe there's been hurtful words, there's an offense, there's conflict, and it may be spinning and spinning and spinning. Or perhaps you have challenges and problems and you can't stop worrying. How am I going to fix this? How am I going to get money for this and that? How is this going to end, etc.? Well, making it a habit to still those kind of repeative sort of patterns is of great value. And one of the reasons for that is that repeating something negative is actually telling your system to create more of that and to manifest whatever you are focusing on. So if that is negative, that's a problem. Now, the second thing is that whatever is spinning inside of you again and again, it's taking up space and preventing something positive to be there. And if you want to experience joy, love, trust, growth, wisdom, that kind of stuff, it's not going to happen if you fill up your space and your focus with something that is meaningless or even negative. So I hope you can see how important it is to still and clear out the negative stuff in your internal environment as a preparation and a daily habit to get closer to what really means something, what has real value, and of course to God. Now, if you like these kind of topics and you would like to grow, you feel like you have a calling or a life purpose, something like that, check out the link below, because I have a free mini course about making dreams come true and fulfilling your life purpose. So it may be interesting for you. Now, I'm soon going to get to the most important part, but first we go to number 4, which is to actually spend time with God. It is like a relationship, and if you want to be close to God and you want to have that intimacy, you have to invest in it and put time into it, put effort into it, and make it a priority in your life. You may want to have the fruits of being close to God, but if you don't actually want to take the steps and put in an effort, then it's not going to happen. You're not going to get the fruits without growing every bit of the tree until it is bearing fruit. It takes work, and it takes patience, and its consistency, etc. So how can you spend time with God? It does not mean to do something that is boring and, like a duty and, oh, now I'm a nice girl or whatever. You can make it the way that you want it to be. You can pray, you can sing, you can dance, you can read the Bible, you can read articles, you can listen to videos, you can simply lay down and reflect. You can seek answers to mysteries of life. I love that. Or you can study your dreams. You can talk to God and just try to understand more by simply seeking. There's so many ways, and I don't want you to limit yourself. But of course, we always need to be critical of things. Is this from God? Is this just from me? Blah, blah, blah. But my point is, be free and be creative, and think of it as being close to somebody you love. If you love somebody, you want to spend time with them. You are missing them. It's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. I want to be with you. That's the way that you should approach God and spending time with God. And if one way of doing it is not pleasing you, it doesn't really feel as if you get close to somebody you love, then start with something else and let it grow until you're actually there where you feel a longing to do so and so. And then we get to the last part, which is to listen. And so many people, they treat God in a way where they are praying for things, they're asking for things, but then they turn around and they don't listen. And so I've spoken about this before, and I do it again because it is so important. And this is the reason why the silence and the peace and the elimination of every, toxic influence, the food that we feed ourselves, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, why it is so important for us to pay attention to that and eliminate whatever is negative, destructive, or simply just taking up space that is not productive or leading us to the goal that we want, which is an intimate, rewarding, satisfying, fulfilling oneness with God in peace and, comfort. And so how do you actually listen? Well, time is one thing. Being peaceful and quiet on the inside is definitely another, and that is why our peace needs to be like the waves of a lake or an ocean that is still and quiet. If there's waves, you're not going to hear anything, you're not going to perceive it. But if you are still, if there's no thoughts and emotions roaring around, or the echo of the TV or whatever you have had of impressions, but you are simply still on the inside, peace be still and know that I am God, then you will be like a lake, like an ocean with no waves, but simply like a mirror that can reflect. You can see the heavens reflect on the surface of a lake. And that is how our soul should be. When we are seeking God, the ideal state is to be there, because then you will actually be able to pick up and understand so much more of what is being communicated. It's not going to come like, in ordinary conversation. It's subtle. You have to pay attention to the little things. It may simply just be an image, a word, a sensation, just a tiny little thing. And if you get something, you have to hold on to that and look at it and ask, what is this? What does this mean? Does it have a meaning? And then you search, and it's like one step and one step and one step, and it's something that is usually growing over time, but it can only start if you pay attention and then hold on to whatever you get, even if it is something as silly as a type of food, or it can be one single image. Let's say it's an image of a goat that you just, start thinking of this goat and you don't know why. Well, that is so valuable, and you need to pay attention to it and chew on it and seek so that you will find. And it says in the Bible that it is I'm paraphrasing now. It says that it is for God to conceal a matter, but it is for kings to search it out. In other words, God is making his mysteries available for us if we put time into it, and the effort and time and desire to really find out, you will find the answers. But he's not making it available for those who are not willing to put in any time or effort or anything. It is like a path and a mystery, and something that is filled with tiny little tests on the way, so that those who proceed and pursue will get rewards. So I hope this is something that can help you, whether you are living out in the woods or you are living in the middle of a city. No matter where you are, I hope this can help you get a more peaceful, slow living Christian life, so that you may get that inner peace and reward, and just feel that God is close, that you have his intimacy, and that you can grow in it every day, a little bit closer and a little bit closer, etc. So with that, I just want to say take care, be blessed, and I hope to see you soon again.